Afternoon. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says a 17-year-old juvenile is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder.
Yeah, this comes just 2 days after 14-year-old Lyric Woods and 18-year-old Devin Clark were found dead.
The Sheriff's Office says it filed a petition to charge a 17-year-old with 2 counts of first-degree murder. It says it's still looking to arrest the suspect. North Carolina law prevents juveniles from facing adult charges until a petition gets approved. A judge must approve the charges based on probable cause.
All right, now let's get to another top story we are following today. Greensboro's nearly 70 years of being home to the ACC is coming to an end.
Yes, today the league announced that it will move its headquarters from the Gate City to Charlotte.
Things like ACC tournaments will still have a home in Greensboro, but the decision uproots decades of sports history.
At WFMY News 2's Avery Powell found out what went into this final decision.
And Guilford County leaders say while the ACC headquarters is moving to Charlotte, it's disappointing and they aren't going to let this be a blow to the area's development or spirit. ACC leaders said they were looking for a location with positive population growth trends, a diverse population, and access to a large hub airport. In a press call today, the commissioner said it was a tough decision to leave the city that they've called home for 70 years.
The operation obviously leaves Greensboro, but our history and legacy do not, and future championships do not, and we're going to stay close.
State lawmakers offered the ACC $15 million to stay in North Carolina. Greensboro Guilford County leaders also tried to sweeten the deal, offering to change the name of the Greensboro Coliseum to the ACC Coliseum.
Well, obviously we were disappointed. We put together a really great response to the request for proposal, but in the end we were really not surprised. I think in retrospect, that was really where they were headed from the beginning.
We shot our best shot. We made our best offer. So we didn't leave anything on the table. So it's no regrets that we have that we could have done more. No second guessing ourselves because we know we put forth a great package.
The ACC is expected to make their move in 2023. About 50 people are employed at the headquarters and all of their operations will move to Charlotte.
Avery, thank you. We first learned last August that the ACC was exploring a move as part of a comprehensive look at how the league operated. The new ACC commissioner, Jim Phillips, called for this review. In April, we learned Orlando and Charlotte were in the mix for the new headquarters, but keeping it based in Greensboro was still on the table. Then in June, state lawmakers revealed a budget including $15 million to keep the ACC in North Carolina, but move it to Charlotte. 2 days later, the city of Greensboro offered to rename the Greensboro Coliseum the ACC Coliseum if it chose to stay.
Dozens of people are sounding off, leaving their reactions on the WFMY News 2 Facebook page. Clay says, a mistake leaving your roots. Charlie says, no surprise, but still very disappointing. Richard says they belong in Charlotte or Raleigh, where the fan base is larger. Paula says, what I'm seeing is companies want to be where the action is, and that's Charlotte. And Melita says, I hate to hear this. Now, I know that we've been waiting for this decision for some time now. A lot of folks saying that it's a sense of pride here in Greensboro, and then you have others saying, well, at least it's still staying here in the state.
There is that. I mean, as a North Carolinian, it's a big deal that it stays in the state. Sentimental reasons, nobody wants it to leave. It was founded in Sedgefield in 1953. But from a money standpoint, it's the tournaments we need to keep here. As long as we keep the ACC basketball tournaments and any other, the aquatic, all of that, that's how we make money in this area. But sentimentally, I hate to see it go.
And my sentiment, along with a lot of the other comments that you read about, while it's disappointing, it's really no surprise. I mean, Greensboro is a great city. It's been a great city for it, but Charlotte is the big city in our state, and so if we could keep it at least in our state, then that would be, I guess, a slight win, but it's still unfortunate.
Here's the other thing to watch for in the next 5 to 8 years. If these conferences, if the SEC and the Big Tens of the world keep growing like this, and they don't become the SEC anymore, it's like Conference A and Conference B, and everybody joins in, there may not be an ACC. So I was a little surprised, thinking, why would you spend all that money to move it if the ACC may not be the ACC later on? So that's something to watch down the road.
That's a good point.
We'll see.
And we're going to be hearing from more of the big players coming up in the later newscast, so we can kind of get an idea of where everybody stands on this. It was surprising to me that there was a unanimous vote among all 15 ACC schools. I guess I just thought, and maybe that's me being naive, I thought that several of the schools would have voted to keep it in Greensboro.
You know, also, if you think travel, Charlotte Airport, you know, more direct flights to places where they need to go.
Right.
I think part of the key of keeping in North Carolina, there is the pride issue. Everybody wants it here, but the other one is the fact that it's centrally located on the East Coast, right?
Absolutely.
So all the northern schools, all the Florida schools, equal distance
And
away.
I believe the airport was one of the bigger
It was.
draws to that area.
All right, we'll see. I'm sure we'll be talking more about this
Absolutely.
over the years. All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. Carowinds Theme Park plans to introduce a new chaperone policy. This is after what park officials say was unruly behavior, they called it, Saturday night. The park was closed early during Scarowinds. That's its annual Halloween themed event. And now anyone 17 or younger must be with an adult who is at least 21. Leaders say several groups of minors were causing the problems, but no one was injured at the park. Carowinds already had a no bag policy in place during Scarowinds, and guests go through metal detectors as they enter. Well, workers are cleaning up after Queen Elizabeth's funeral. Thousands of bouquets were left all over the UK at castles and in parks. Workers started by taking the plastic off so the flowers will last longer, and then they could remove the trash. Crews worked for about 24 hours to get that cleanup going. The national mourning period has ended, but the royal family will not carry out any events until next week. And millions are still without power in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Fiona hit the island. Flooding all across the island is only making repairs more difficult, of course. It could be days before all services are restored there. Meanwhile, there are at least 3 deaths that are now linked to Hurricane Fiona. Today, the storm moved over Turks and Caicos as a Category 3 storm and dumped up to 8 inches of rain there by the time that storm moves on. Things much quieter, though, here in our neck of the woods. We're getting a little bit warm before we get cool again, Monique.
Yes, it is warm outside right now. I wanted to give the latest look at Hurricane Fiona, a much different picture from even the new newscast that I was in earlier today. I showed Fiona here, but you can see there's a very well-defined eye as this storm continues to exit the region of Turks and Caicos. As of now, the wind speeds are reaching upwards of 115 miles per hour. But whenever you see the eye, that shows that it's becoming more and more organized, meaning more and more powerful and more dangerous as it continues to pull to the north-northwest. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer so you can really see this well-defined eye, making a very clear picture that this is a nasty hurricane. And even looking towards the western side of this storm as it continues to loop through, these purples are indicating very strong, powerful thunderstorms at the core of this overall hurricane. This thing is tracking to the north-northwest, and you see that by Thursday. Expected to be a Category 4 hurricane. Now, the good news is it is out to sea, but as it approaches Bermuda, that small island is going to get a soaker as we approach the latter part of this week, and continuing to pull to the north-northwest as we end out the week and go into the weekend. Still a very strong hurricane. This season hasn't been that busy, but Fiona being the strongest storm we've seen so far this season. The tropics aren't entirely quiet. In fact, we do have Tropical Depression 8 now just tagged well out in the central Atlantic, but this bad boy down here to the south has a high chance of developing over the next 5 days, and that could be the next storm we're all talking about right after Fiona. So keeping a close eye to the tropics as always, because we are still in hurricane season. Things have been quiet for a while, but they're getting busy now. And I'll be talking more about weather here at home in just a bit.
September is National Childhood Obesity Awareness Month. The month is dedicated to educating the public about the serious health condition and how to promote healthy growth in children. According to the Office of Disease Prevention and Health Promotion, 1 in 3 children in the U.S. are overweight or obese. Dr. Soren Johnson is a pediatrician with Novant Health. He says childhood obesity puts kids at risk for health problems like sleep apnea, liver problems, diabetes, and more.
Just long term, we know that the longer that you have problems with obesity, or the longer that you have diabetes, the more and more likely you are to have cardiovascular disease, so problems with the heart down the road.
Like many other conditions, COVID-19 has made childhood obesity worse. Dr. Johnson says more than a year of remote learning has given children more reason to be sedentary. He says there are several things parents can do to help keep their children active.
Number one thing is probably cutting down on screen usage, and some of the times, we say that we have to look in the mirror and be like, what example am I giving to my child? Am I staring at my phone all day? Sometimes that's the place to start. Be like, maybe I should change my habits, and that'll help my kid be more active.
In addition to promoting physical fitness like sports, jump rope, and bike riding, Dr. Johnson says families should try to eliminate sweet beverages like sodas, flavored milk, and sports energy drinks.
Basically, an extra 3,000 calories is going to equate to about a pound of fat in the body. And if you're drinking a soda a day, that's an extra 180 calories. You can do the math. Over 2 weeks, you're gaining an extra 3,000 calories. So that's 2 weeks per, a pound every 2 weeks of extra sugar your body didn't need.
For the toddlers who may not be old enough for organized sports or activities, Dr. Johnson suggests taking them to the park or just getting outside where he says they're naturally going to move. So I asked you on my Facebook page, what do you do to stay active? Jeff says before I start the workday, I do strength training and cardio at the gym. I have more energy in the morning. Joy wrote, walk my dog. Sophia says Zumba, walk, swim, hike, kayak. Lolita says at 75, it's turbo water aerobics. Easy on these old joints. And then Jay says I walk 3 to 5 miles every morning.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I really want, and I've always wanted these ever since Tanya got one in her office here, is a stand-up desk.
I knew you were going to say that.
I would love to get one of those, or one that has where it's on a treadmill where you're constantly walking.
Oh, that would
I've
be
seen
really
that.
neat.
Well, she also has that big blow-up kind of
Oh yeah, with the ball that you
thing
sit
that
on.
because it keeps you have to work your core a little bit and keep your balance
Yeah.
when you're working. So she's doing it all. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
I'm sitting at my desk. I do work out. It's 3 days a week in the mornings, but I have to do it early because with my schedule and then kids and all that stuff and bedtime, I would not have time if I don't do it. I hate doing it early in the morning, but it's the only time I can do it.
Now that it's gotten a lot cooler, I've been doing a lot of walking lately. Like yesterday, I walked about 3 miles. But one thing that's helped me recently, I just got this Apple Watch a couple months ago, and it tells me when I need to get up to move. Like if I've been sitting down for too long, it says get up and move for a couple of minutes. So I found that to be pretty helpful because you close your rings throughout the day. So I always plan to do that.
How funny, when you were saying that, as soon as I got my Apple Watch, I really didn't like when they did that, so I shut off.
Turned it off.
You shut it off? I actually like it. I actually get up from my seat and, kind of move around and stuff when mine goes off.
I when you were reading the list of things that aren't good for you, like the sugary drinks and the energy, and I think about when I was a kid, we did all that. It was horrible, the stuff that I used to eat and drink as a kid.
And I don't drink sodas as much, but I do like juice, like orange juice and different things of that nature. So when he broke it down to you could basically gain a pound or 2 every 2 weeks by drinking maybe a glass of juice a day.
But some of those juices
kind
are
of alarming,
filled with sugar too. You
And
wouldn't
it's
think
unfortunate that it's expensive to eat healthy.
Yes, that's true.
And especially for families, when you've got four kids. I mean, think about how expensive that is. When it's easy to just go to McDonald's and pick everything up you want for $10.
I'll show you my debit card, and you can see how expensive it is. 4 kids trying that. All right, it's another night of CBS fall premieres right here on WFMY.
And tonight's all about the FBI shows and the cases they work to solve. FBI and FBI International kick off tonight. We're going to be talking about that in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break.
Nope, we'll take a break.
So.
All right, let's try this again. It's another night of CBS fall premieres right here on WFMY.
Yeah, tonight it's all about the FBI shows. So the cases they work to solve. So FBI, FBI International, those kick off the night.
FBI Most Wanted wraps things up with the start of its 4th season, and then actor Dylan McDermott is joining the cast as Agent Remy Scott.
He's pure passion, this guy, everything about him. There's a reason that he does what he does. It's not just because he's an FBI agent.
You can catch all the action starting at 8 p.m. here on WFMY.
All right, turning now to music news. San Diego State University students who are fans of global superstar Bad Bunny will be able to take a class about his impact on Latin culture next year. It's the most recent class focused on a musician. SDSU previously offered a course on Selena. New York University offered a class about Taylor Swift, and several colleges have offered classes about Beyonce. So I asked you on Facebook, what musician or band would you most like to study in college if they offered a class? Naomi said Dolly Parton because she's such a humble person. Melita said Rod Stewart. He is one of my favorites of all time. And a lot of country music folks today. Teresa Inman said Conway Twitty, my favorite country singer ever. Michelle said yes, she agrees with me because I put up there I'd like to see a class on Prince. She said it would definitely be Prince for me. He's my favorite artist, and I have so many questions about how he came up with some of his music and lyrics. And Sybil said Loretta Lynn. She is the most wholesome person. She never forgot her roots.
So when I was in college, one of my African American study courses was called The Sounds of Blackness. So we learned about all types of artists and their impact on social justice, history. We learned about Prince, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke, Chief Keef, like so many different people. So that was a really cool class that I got to take.
Prince is so, he was just so mysterious to
Yeah.
me. Like, that's why I'd like to get, that's why when I talk to our friend Shelby J, she comes on our station every now and again, who sang with him, I always ask her, what was he like in private? She said, just as brilliant as you would expect, you know?
I would probably go for the route of like the weirdos. Just because I want to get in their mind, like know what makes them tick. Like think about like Ozzy Osbourne, Marilyn Manson.
I thought of Marilyn
I like
Manson when
that.
you said
Maybe
that.
even Michael Jackson. You know, he was such a misunderstood guy. I mean, I would like to learn more about what makes odd people.
Okay, now you're making me change my mind. The Michael Jackson thing, I would love to have, because I know his childhood was basically stolen from him with fame, you know, and so I'd love to talk. I wonder if he was self-aware, you know, that kind of thing.
Did you all ever have teachers that use music to, you know, help connect with you? My English teacher, my freshman year, he used Biggie Smalls a lot when we did our poetry unit, and we would dissect some of his music so he could help relate, you know, to us on a different level.
I always liked it when teachers would let us play music in class. Like, so I had some middle school teachers that would let us, you know, you can do that during an hour while you study.
Hey Monique, how about you? Which class would you like to study?
Not quite sure. Some artists that I would love to learn a little bit more about, though, I would say is Beyonce. Always a Bee fan over here. I'm in the beehive. Temperatures as of now are also very warm, kind of bringing those bees out as well. 84 is the current temperature in Winston-Salem. The humidity you're feeling, and the bugs are even joining us on our Skyview cam as we look downtown in Winston-Salem. Weather has been nice all day long, and actually for the past couple of days, but that humidity, that's what's starting to change. We're starting to feel a little bit more uncomfortable for this afternoon. A big change is if we were out late last night or early in the morning. And as we go over the next couple of days, this cold front that's going to be approaching is what's going to change the weather for sure. It's going to get toasty for your Wednesday and even on your Thursday. But this cold front that's expected to cross on Thursday is what's going to cool us down and invite some fall air in as we go into the weekend. So that fall equinox being on your Thursday, and that's kind of the kickstart for fall. And that's when the fall air comes after the fall equinox. We're all going to be talking about how the temperatures have crashed and so have the dew points, making for a very refreshing and cool start to the day on Friday and Saturday. In fact, Friday and Saturday being the coolest nights that we've felt in quite a while. Not only because the temperatures will be low, but also with the humidity being low, you will feel that 50 early Saturday morning. So like I said, warmer for the next couple of days, and after that, it's getting chilly.
Are you happy with where you live? A new Wallet Hub survey ranked the happiest states. North Carolina came in at number 20. They looked at things like sleep, mental health, work hours, unemployment, income growth, safety, and sports participation.
And here's the top 5. Hawaii, no surprise there. Maryland, Minnesota, Utah, New Jersey. The top 3 unhappiest states were Arkansas, Louisiana, and West Virginia. And here are the home states of the 4 to 5 crew. Number 5, you just heard it, New Jersey, 11, Virginia, 20, North Carolina, and 21, Wisconsin. For me, bottom of the list.
Choice? I don't know.
I don't know why I barked.
I'm not sure what that. I can't follow that, man.
I don't even
not
want
that.
to.
I know why New Jersey is great because we have great pizza and bagels and beaches.
And gardens.
The
Yeah.
Garden State.
Yeah.
Garden.
I'm just always thinking about food.
A friend of mine from New Jersey used to joke. He said, "We're the best state." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because we're not New York." Because I guess they were always going.
Yeah, there's always that clash.
I kind of thought 20. I thought North Carolina would have been higher.
I actually did too, because and even though I'm from here, I like the fact that we're beach and mountains within a half a day. You know, I think that's cool.
Temperate climate. I mean,
All 4 seasons.
Maybe if you're here in Greensboro, you like it, but not maybe other folks.
Maybe, I don't know. It's such a retirement area now, from Asheville to Wilmington. You know, it's a lot of that.
See, for Wisconsin at 21, I mean, that's a little bit high. But just because I know how the winters are, I mean, they're just absolutely brutal. But people who live there love it, so it makes sense.
I thought Virginia would have been a little higher on the list. It's kind of similar to Maryland. We're near DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and then we also have beaches. We also have mountains as well.
Yep.
So we're a diverse state too.
I feel like when I'm in Virginia, I always forget there's a beach there.
Oh,
me
like
too.
Virginia beaches.
Yeah.
I don't think of
Yeah.
Virginia as a beach, but you're right.
Yeah. I mean, people like Wisconsin because of the cheese. Who doesn't love cheese?
Cheese and beer.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Not
a
a bad
great
combo.
combo.
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, they're constantly voted like the most alcoholic state. So
Are they
I suppose-
really?
Yeah, all
Really?
the
I did
time.
not know
Just because
that.
of the beer,
Yeah, I mean, they have like more like bars per capita than any other
Wow.
state.
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Oh
I
yeah.
would have
That's
never
the
thought
party
that.
state then.
That's the party state. So maybe it should have been higher than
Yeah.
what it is.
Maybe my
Kinda
next road trip
21.
needs to be to Wisconsin.
It's all,
Yeah.
all that sodium in the cheese makes everybody thirsty. That's what it is. That's how it works.
And then the beer makes you hungry instead of
It's a vicious cycle,
Vicious
those Wisconsinites. All right, we're coming right back.
Wisconsinites.
We'll be right back. Charges has been filed against a 17-year-old accused of killing 2 other teens. 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2, 1-2. The arrest comes as we learn new details about the date.
Hi, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina.
Okay. Check 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Check, check, check.
Hello? Oh, mic check 1, 2, 3. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Mic check 1, 2, 3.
Hey, is this me? I think I'm on the same IFB as Monique, but I didn't hear you. Perfect. Ben Briscoe here, talking about the history of the ACC.
We're staying on top of breaking news on WFMY News 2 this afternoon. The Orange County Sheriff's Office say a petition for murder charges has been filed against a 17-year-old accused of killing 2 other teens.
This comes just 2 days after ATV riders found the bodies of 14-year-old Lyric Woods and 18-year-old Devin Clark. The Sheriff's Office says it filed a petition to charge a 17-year-old with 2 counts of first-degree murder. State law prevents juveniles from facing adult charges until a petition is approved. A judge must approve the charges based on probable cause.
The arrest comes as we learn new details about the days before the teens were found. Family reported 14-year-old Lyric Woods missing Saturday. Canine units were called in to search for Woods' scent at her home in Eflin. Investigators say they believe the 14-year-old left out a back door and may have gotten a ride from someone. All that was missing from her room was an iPad.
An 18-year-old Devin Clark was reported missing in Mebane police on Sunday. The Orange County Sheriff's Office says it is still waiting on an official autopsy of a cause of death from the medical examiner's office.
And other news today, the ACC has made it official. The conference will now move its headquarters from Greensboro to Charlotte. This will be next year.
The decision to move was unanimous by all 15 ACC schools. The league says the move will be complete in 2023.
Yeah, the ACC says it looked at a few things when making this decision. It wanted a city in the Eastern Time Zone, a city with a diverse population, and an airport with easy access to all ACC schools.
ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips says this was a very tough decision.
The operation obviously leaves Greensboro, but our history and legacy do not, and future championships do not. And we're going to stay close. And I've already had some correspondence with a few of the key, I think, leaders in the community. And again, a really difficult decision, but for the reasons that you've heard from myself and President Price, we feel like it's the right one.
The headquarters relocating means about 50 jobs will move to Charlotte, but this doesn't mean Greensboro will lose all of its ACC business, especially the economic impact of hosting tournaments. The ACC women's and men's basketball tournaments are set to come to Greensboro to the Coliseum in 2023. The Greensboro Aquatic Center will host the men's and women's swimming and diving ACC championships. The ACC women's golf tournament will be played at Sedgefield Country Club.
Ben Briscoe here. At the end of the day, the ACC said, look, they just had to crunch a whole bunch of numbers to make the decision to move. One of the biggest reasons was also the larger airport with more direct flights. We're going to dig into the other top reasons why the ACC is leaving Greensboro coming up at 5:30.
All right, let's get to your 4 to 5 roundup now. First up today, a suspect whose case was famously covered in the NPR podcast Serial is now out of jail, his conviction overturned. Adnan Syed was released yesterday after 23 years in prison. Syed was 17 when he was arrested and later convicted of murdering his ex-girlfriend. During this week's appeal hearing, a judge released Syed on house arrest while prosecutors decide whether to try him again. Financial experts are predicting an increase in interest rates at tomorrow's Federal Reserve meeting. The Fed is expected to raise rates by 0.75 percentage point as a way to bring down inflation. This hike will bring interest rates to a level we haven't seen since 2008. The Tanger Center's first year of shows was a booming success. Today, leaders announced Tanger hosted more than 431,000 guests at 221 events. 89 of them were sellouts. Broadway shows alone brought in nearly $15 million. There were 17,000 season ticket holders, which is a record for any new venue. I was at that event today, guys, and it was incredible the amount of success that they shared just about the first year of the Broadway shows.
I mean, it was, I can't get enough of it. We were talking in the Good Morning Show at 9 o'clock today about that. We bought the Broadway series. We bought it again for this coming year. I have seen other acts there, and I think it is probably the biggest economic impact in our area consistently in a long time.
Sadly, I haven't been able to make my way there. My family, we were planning to go see Hamilton, but we did have a family emergency come up, so we weren't able to go. But I am really hyped about this. My sister wants to come down from Charlotte, so she can experience it as well. So
it's beautiful.
We're going to see it. I'm banking on
And
it.
I think another testament of how successful it has been today at the announcement, they said that in a couple of weeks, the city of Sarasota in Florida is planning to build a similar facility. And so they're going to have a delegation from Sarasota come here in 2 weeks to see what the Tanger Center is all about and to see the successes that happened here and then work to model their development off of what they have seen here. So, I mean, it's a huge deal.
I love it. I'm so glad it's here, and it's like I check all the time to see, because they're adding acts, by the way. If you look on their website, don't think what you see right now is it for the season. They're adding stuff all the time. Yeah. All right, let's check in with Monique and see.
The current temperature in Burlington is 89 degrees, guys. The 90s are not too far away, not only today for some folks, but also when we talk about the next couple of days, 90s are in reach for sure. 86 is the current temperature in Greensboro, 87 in Lexington. There are some high 80s on here, and it feels like it when you walk outside. Now, the good news is it's dry, though. You won't need the umbrella for the rest of today. As you can see, our satellite radar is showing nothing on there. We've been in quite the dry spell, though. The past several days have been dry. 9 days is the exact number since September 12th, but you can see this kind of follows suit to some other dry spells we've had over the past year. Back in April, the longest of that stretch being 17 days of this year, from April 19th all the way till May 5th, 17 complete days of dry weather. Now, as we look to the day tomorrow, we could see another completely dry one. Although we're seeing some rain chances ahead, tomorrow we might not see some of any at all. Expected temperatures to stay in the 80s and the weather to stay dry. But as we move through the day on Thursday, we could see a scattered shower or storm, and Friday and Saturday, well, they're looking dry. Another strong cold front reinforcing the cold air will bring in a better chance for rain for the end of the weekend and start to next week. You can see that here for your Sunday and your Monday. Full look at your 7 days showing you a stretch of mostly dry air, but temperatures is going to be the main story for the next couple of days, and then after that, we're all talking about the cool down.
Unemployment help with the click of a button. It sounds suspicious, but certainly tempting, as unemployment offices are often dealing with long hold times for hundreds of applications. WFMY News 2's Megan Malaris verifies whether you should bookmark the website or just send it to your spam folder.
From 14% to 3%, the U.S. unemployment rate has improved markedly since the early days of the COVID pandemic forced layoffs and furloughs. But with uncertainty about a recession and unsustainably high inflation, Joel Boycett reached out on Twitter asking, can you please verify if unemploymentbenefitsguide.com is a legitimate website? They're sending me all kinds of emails. Sure, Joel, let's go straight to the sources. Unemploymentbenefitsguide.com, North Carolina's Department of Commerce, and Lachelle Yates with the Better Business Bureau, or BBB, of Central and Northwest North Carolina.
It is a directory of resources provided by state and federal governments, and it states it plainly on its website that it is in no way affiliated with, endorsed by, or sponsored by the federal government or any other governmental body or private entity offering similar benefits.
If you scroll down to the section on how to apply and click the link, you'll find the states alphabetized. Select North Carolina, for example. You'll see who's eligible for unemployment insurance. You'll also find a link to the real North Carolina Department of Commerce website. How do you know? Well, the URL ends in .gov, as all government websites do, and it has the lock icon indicating it's secure. But that process takes several steps, and spammers have a knack for creating fake sites. So Yates suggests Googling unemployment and your state and going straight to the source. So yes, unemploymentbenefitsguide.com is a real website, a resource for state-by-state information. As for the emails viewer Joel said he's receiving, those are likely legitimate too.
The website does say that you will receive marketing messages from it and its advertisers by email, phone, and or text. But it doesn't tell you who the advertisers are. So I can't tell you if they're legitimate businesses selling legitimate products.
If you don't want those unsolicited emails, click unsubscribe in the email or bottom of the website. If that doesn't work, well, unfortunately, you might be out of luck since that website does not have contact information listed. That's why Joel did the right thing in being leery, and why Yates emphasized it's best to visit your state's Commerce Department website directly. With your Verify, I'm Megan Malaris.
If you have something you want us to verify, send it to us. Email in your question or any links you see to verify at WFMY.com. We'll be right back.
Hello, ice cold milk and an Oreo cookie. They forever go together like a classic combination. Ooh, when a dark delicious cookie meets an icy cold sensation. All right, I need everyone to make a muscle. How are we feeling today? Make your muscles.
What do you think?
Looking good. Oh, I like Lauren's muscles best.
Look at Lauren.
We feeling strong? That's good. Because you're going to need it for this next story. Are you ready?
I'm
Get
ready.
those muscles ready. So nearly 100 teams of 25 people each competed to pull an 82-ton plane. We're talking either a FedEx Airbus A320 or a United Boeing 757. They had to pull it 12 feet to win.
This actually started about 30 years ago here at Dulles Airport, and since then that concept has taken off and now other airports do it as well.
So this particular event, the Dulles Plane Pull, raises funds for the Special Olympics. All right, so here's my thought. We got a plane right here.
Okay.
Well, I can pull that one.
I can blow that.
I need to undo the stops on the table. And
right.
so
My box out the
we
way.
have a string here. I need you to pull it with your finger.
Just one
I'm
finger.
worried about
Just
this
one
thing
finger.
breaking.
It's not.
Did you
I
test
can
this?
do it.
Ooh, bring it.
Do
Come
it.
on,
Do it,
girl.
Lauren.
Bring those muscles. One finger. Okay.
Do you think you have to have strong, like, finger muscles to
Or
do
probably,
it?
I feel like it comes from the
Yeah, it
leg.
might be the
So
leg.
you
Got
want
the
me to
legs.
go?
Yeah, go.
Uh-oh, it's coming.
Oh, okay,
You saw it move a little bit. It moved a tiny
It
bit.
did.
It did. It moved a little bit.
Okay.
If it was tied tighter, I know I could have done it.
Do you know I had an engineer do that today?
Well,
You got an engineer put that
what's
together.
his name? Kevin.
All right, barring all the craziness and all the silliness, I've got a fundraiser for you, and there's no heavy lifting required, just good music. which we all
Love
like
that.
and enjoy. And this week, the fundraiser is to help the Kellen Foundation. Now, this is a Greensboro nonprofit that provides free mental health resources to kids and adults. Now, here's the info on the fundraiser. It's a concert in the park. So we want you to head to downtown Greensboro this Thursday, 6 until 8. The band is Gypsy Danger, and they're great. You've heard of them, yes. They're at Center City Park. Hear good music. It's free. Make a donation of your choice. I'll be there as MC, and I hope to see you there.
So travel this summer was busy, but it wasn't always easy because thousands of flights were canceled during the busiest vacation months.
There's only a small slowdown in travel before the holidays arrive, so what can you expect?
Travel experts say, like always, things are changing, especially if you're buying a flight.
All summer long, this was a familiar travel tale.
Our flight was canceled.
A combination of increased demand, staffing shortages, and severe weather led to more than 50,000 flight cancellations in the U.S. and around 500,000 delays between Memorial Day and Labor Day, according to FlightAware. Almost 1 in 4 U.S. flights were late. The CEO of the luxury travel network Virtuoso expects more of the same as airlines work to staff up to meet demand.
I think the travel surge is here to stay for quite some time because nothing motivates people like having something taken away they took for granted.
His advice, plan earlier, especially at busy times of the year.
When should you start your holiday planning? Last year. No, I mean, I'm only being half funny about this because people are booking things a year, 6 months in advance.
America's most visited cities are benefiting from the boom.
Here in Las Vegas, tourism is rebounding, but has still not reached pre-pandemic levels.
Domestic tourists, it's back to those levels already.
Groups right now are at about 90% of the pre-pandemic levels, and international tourists are maybe at 90%.
Overseas, the general manager of the Sofitel Rome Villa Borghese, where we stayed at a reduced rate, says occupancy spiked as high as 80% this summer. He saw guests book stays with little advance notice, jumping on whatever was available, no matter the price.
The craziness of summer 2022 will probably disappear, and we will go back to a normal traditional lead time, which means 2 to 3 months.
One trend that is expected to persist, longer trips, as more tourists pair remote work with travel. Wendy Gillette, CBS News.
I've looked at small regional flights trying to get to Nashville because one of my sons is in college there, and it's double what it would have been normally just to go to Nashville's. What, an hour and 40-minute flight or something like that?
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it.
So you all know I've been talking about this Mexico trip
Yes.
for months now. So I went several years ago, but when I bought my ticket this time around, I was like, I don't remember it being this expensive.
It's ridiculous.
All the flights are expensive. I've been on a flight at least 12 times this year so far, and every time I go to New Jersey, it's about $200. And I'm like, it doesn't cost that much to go there. It's crazy.
My flights home to Wisconsin right now are $1,300,
Whoa.
and you have to take 4 planes to get there.
Oh my goodness, that just sounds stressful.
The issue is that all these airlines are pulling out of small airports
That's
right now
true.
because of just the issue with
so
supply and demand.
okay.
And so they're now doubling up and trying to get people to different airports. I mean, it's a disaster.
So are you traveling all day when that happens?
Yes,
Or
it's a
your
12-hour. It is
layovers
a
or-
12-hour trip.
Is it Atlanta, Chicago, and that kind of thing?
So it goes. So the one that I was looking at for Christmas is Greensboro, Atlanta, Minneapolis, Detroit.
Oh my
Jeez.
gosh.
Now, when you first started here, several years ago when you would go home, how was that?
It's typically, especially around Christmas time, it's typically $500.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, this is more than double.
3 times.
Is that because you're flying out of Greensboro? If you were to go to Charlotte, would you run into the same issue?
I think it's where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's the
okay.
issue, not where I'm coming from. So my airport at home is one gate, one airline, one flight a day. So I mean, you've really got to
One
compare,
flight a
like,
day.
you know, the older flights to the
Right.
current flights to really understand that.
I just have this image of, where's Gus? Is he out there at the gate again? Yeah.
I'm telling you, the people who land the plane are the people who are doing the bags and checking you in for the
Oh
flight.
my gosh. So if you have a delayed flight or you miss your flight, that's it.
Tomorrow. You're going home tomorrow.
Gotta go. Wow. I'm
you
going
can-
with you one day.
You can at least arrive at the airport only 5 minutes early, and you can just walk right
They're
in.
probably walking straight out to the plane.
That's true.
All right, let's do a forecast.
Well, one last look at the tropics. I have it for you, talking about traveling, summertime, hurricane season. That's one of those things that can really put a damper on travel plans across the area. This is the latest look at Hurricane Fiona. We've been keeping a close eye to it. This eye is very impressive. As this thing continues to spin off to the northwest, you can see that eye becoming more and more well-defined. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit closer so you guys can see. This right here is showing you an indication that this is a very intense hurricane. It's expected to upgrade, meaning those winds getting stronger as it continues to pull to the northwest. You can see it's expected to upgrade as of the 5 p.m. update that just came in to a Category 4 hurricane by tomorrow. This is a major hurricane as it approaches that island of Bermuda. Now, it is staying the center of the track within this cone of uncertainty, is expected to stay just to the west of Bermuda. But overall, this storm is so large that it's still going to bring some widespread heavy rainfall, life-threatening flooding to Bermuda as it crosses over, continuing on to the north and well away from the east coast. But you can see it's so uncomfortably close that it will create some large swells and dangerous rough surf conditions all along our area beaches, especially over your next couple of days between your Wednesday and your Thursday as it continues to track to the north. Fiona has been the strongest storm so far in this hurricane season, and it looks as though Gaston is not too far away.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm Eric Chilton. Greensboro police partnered with other North Carolina agencies for Operation Clear Track. I'm Eric Chilton. 1, 2.
Hi there, this is Gus at the Rhinelander Airport. Good to see you, Chad. Thanks for coming back.
Checky. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5.
Lauren Coleman, WFMY News 2.
Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. We're following breaking news. We actually have a 17-year-old.
It's taken me a few days to fully process what happened Saturday in Boone, a day App State fans will always remember. First, it was the visit by ESPN College Game Day, putting App at the center of the college sports universe for 3 hours. I talked to many Mountaineer fans who said the moment was surreal. Add in a visit by country music superstar and former App State student Luke Combs, and it was a day to remember. Then came the game. It was supposed to be an easy win against Troy, especially considering App was coming off that huge upset at number 6 Texas A&M the week before. Well, it was a rough game. App State trailed for much of the game and just couldn't find a way to dominate. Their chances of winning were so bleak, about a third of the fans had left with about a minute left in the game. Then, with just 2 seconds left, the Mountaineers, down by 2 and way out of field goal range, quarterback Chase Bryce lofted one into the end zone, a Hail Mary for the ages. Christian Horn came down with it and ran it into the end zone. The entire place erupted. Fans broke through the barricades and rushed the field. We were all left in shock as the black and gold somehow pulled it off, capping off a banner day for that Sun Belt team up in the mountains. I've said this before, even during my 2 cents a couple years ago. I love this team and their fan base because of their determination to be relevant. They've won games they weren't supposed to and left the college sports world talking. All of that hard work paid off on Saturday when the college sports world came to Boone to see what it's all about. Safe to say, they were thoroughly impressed. That's just my 2 cents. And your 4 to 5. WFMY News 2 at 5 starts right now.
We're following breaking news on WFMY News 2 at 5. A late afternoon break in the case involving the 2 teenagers found shot to death this past weekend. A 17-year-old suspect is now being